Okay, so welcome back to the Grand Old Team Show. I'm Adam Partington, this is Dave Feely, and we're at the Excelsior on Dale Street.
We are.
For this second attempt at the Grand Old Team Show. The first one went down really well, thank you for all your questions. What we're going to do, the format of these shows, is we'll have a little chat about Chelsea, the new stadium, potentially, and a little project, or a big project, that Dave's working on, and then we'll take your questions from Twitter in the second part of the show. So Dave, it's been what is it now? Been almost two weeks, has it? Since
a week and a bit.
A week and a bit since Chelsea, which was a nice surprise, I suppose. That second half in particular. Looking back, as we're in the middle of an international break now, you've had time to kind of like look at things soberly.
Not that I don't do that anyway. We'd like to clarify that.
Of course,
anyway.
But after the stuff we do after the game,
no, I get it. It's emotive.
It is.
That's the point of doing it, because it's emotive, because you've literally just seen it, and sometimes you think back on things, but that's not what you're after at that point. You want instant reaction.
It is, absolutely.
Emotion.
So, looking back now, just like kind of what are your general observations on the game, like how it went, that transition? Here's what. In fact, we'll start here. We'll start here with regards to that difference between the first half and the second half. Was that a case that Chelsea were a lot worse in the second half, or was it more of a case that Marco Silva did something, tweaked with something?
You can't say that. You couldn't. If that was another team we were watching, say in a Champions League game, we couldn't argue that. The team, it was so overrun in the first half. He was basically playing rope-a-dope. To coin a phrase, use the idiom. In the first half, could then turn that over just by the other team turning out and playing a bad game. That's unlikely.
Okay.
That's not. I'm just saying to you, if you were watching it in two parties we had no invested emotion in, you'd say that's unlikely. They had to do something in the first from the second half, but we defended well. They were just good. And the two best players on the park, like I said to you outside the ground, were Hazard and Pedro, and they shone. And that long diagonal ball, looking to get behind our fullbacks, because what it does then, Higuain is no longer a rampaging centre forward. He needs to be within range, a little bit like Cenk Tosun, in my personal opinion. So, but basically, by getting their fast wingers behind us, it allows him now to be another third person in this attack here. But if it's in the middle of the park and breaking away, he generally isn't the man to finish it, because he can't keep up with the pace with the ball running through on goal. So I seen where it went, but it was a switch tactically and mentally, because you could see the attitude within 2 minutes. I said it to you outside. Dominic Calvert-Lewin got the ball, put it across, and Bernard, in my opinion, should have threw himself at it. But I'm viewing it from the other end. And we were in. That was literally like that from the kick-off. So something has been a catalyst.
Was that... Yeah, it's hard. It's always... We're speculating because we weren't in the dressing room.
Absolutely speculating. That's what we're here for, though, isn't it?
No, it is absolutely 110%. We are speculators.
Yes.
However, do we, from the outside looking in, can we say that that was something that Marco Silva would have said or done?
Well, let's put it this way. If it was the opposite to this scenario, and we've been wellied, you'd say that's on the manager. So then, to not give him credit against a side like that, when we've been so overrun like that, when he made no changes directly from half time. So something got said or done, or somebody had Harry Potter's wand, and something happened to turn that over so radically.
Yeah, and those things don't happen in a vacuum. So you know what I mean. There has to be. There has to have been
not
something.
Just that. Once it started going, it wasn't happenstance. It wasn't like the old days where we'd get it up to the centre forward and look to see what happened when we got there. This wasn't that. It was kind of, we were in charge of the game in all departments, linking all departments, and it was kind of cohesive. And that's what we've been searching for. In the best time, when we look back on this season 2 and 3 times, we'll say there was flashes. It wasn't quite there, but in flashes you could see it. Well, that was on the second half. That was more than a flash. These are a good side. They're not the best Chelsea. They're not the Chelsea of 3 years ago, but they're still not bad. And they'll beat most teams week in, week out. And they've got a couple of special
Hence
players.
the league position.
Hence the league position. But I'm saying, the mindset thing, it's coming on the back of the Liverpool game. Remember where we were at Millwall less than 3 months ago?
Yeah.
And remember where our mind was then collectively. We were on the floor. So to come then and do well against Liverpool, not fantastic. Even turned up against Man City, got beat, but turned up. And then the psychological thing about Liverpool, they did not run over us. We had a plan, we stuck to it, we got what we were. It were fantastic. And then Newcastle, to happen in the interim, well, to come back with that second half, we caned them about Newcastle. I caned them, and I never do that. And I picked out individuals, which I also never do, because I thought it merited it. That because we took our eye off the ball, it metaphorically and literally, and it was naughty and wrong. But this was improvement second half, you can't say it wasn't.
And as you say, you know, sometimes you have to just take your wins where you can get them and not kind of try and look into things too much. What I'm saying there is that they've been few and far between this season, so let's not try and pick on.
No, yeah, not just that though. But again, these are the big teams. Again, in retrospect, when we review it, we basically turned up against them all.
Yeah.
That's been something since 25 years we haven't been able to do that. So if that's a kernel of optimism and hope and a bud which will grow into our future, wherever our prosperous future is, well, that's a decent place to start. Because in the last 25 years we never had that. We did everything else apart from that.
Yeah.
David Moyes basically did everything else apart from the trophy, everything else apart from turn up away from home at the big teams. Well, he's having a go straight away.
You mentioned the future there.
Yeah.
Obviously, Tottenham have shown people their new stadium, the supporters their new stadium. What are your hopes for our new stadium? This has obviously happened this week with regards to Tottenham's, the press being exposed to the stadium. I think they played a little game there or something like that as well.
Yeah.
So what do you want from the new stadium that's being built? Potentially.
I'm the worst person in the world to ask about it because I'm still devastated that we're leaving the old stadium. So I want it, when it eventually arrives, it's inevitable, like death and taxes, it's coming. So basically, make it the best you can when you get there. It will never replace Goodison Park in my heart.
Is there anything? Is there one thing though that you want to see from it?
Yeah, I was just about to say, I need the essence.
Yeah.
I need the essence. I want to see a little bit of Archibald Leaf, but I'm not talking about aesthetics. I'm not talking about Arsenal sticking all ex-players around the outside of the ground and the outside of the ground looking better than the inside of the ground. I want the inside of the ground to be the focus because that's where it's all going to be. We've gone there. The whole purpose of going there is to spend the next 150 years, we've got 140 odd now, the next 150 years in the endeavour of winning trophies. Well, taking the crowd out of it at Everton is like taking 40% of it and leaving one stand empty and just being the park or something because you're really not utilising your assets.
No, I agree. For me, that the major thing is that, and I think this will happen, is us still being relatively close to the pitch, and that's always been a bit of a frightening thing.
It's got to be Everton. I can go to close to the pitch in another ground somewhere, and that's not Everton. This has got to speak in games, at crucial time in games, like Goodison Park does. It's got to speak who we are. It's got to. I don't know, it's a big job. It's a really big job.
It is a big job. It is absolutely. Talking about who we are, though, you're involved in a project at the moment that a lot of people watching this will have seen. You've made references to it.
Yeah.
Howard's Way.
Yeah.
Want to tell the guys a little bit more about that, because it's really exciting as an Evertonian.
It's blown my mind. We're involved. Michelle Keith Mullen and Rob Sloman are involved in a documentary film about 1984-85 primarily, but it's not just that. It's since the gaffer walked in the door in 1981 to the end of the season of 85, when our last kick of the game, we would have been the first team in British history ever to have won the domestic double and a European trophy. And Man United beat us in the final to send it off and But within that story is a story of us. I'm here now doing videos for you at this age. And I'm still all the time at the games. Well, we were still in school, and Liverpool, you think they're good now? We should have seen them then. They were winning the European Cup and the league in the same season, and we were in school. So, and we had no idea, we never stopped going, and we had no idea that this was ever going to end. And we carried on going, and within 7 years, for example, they beat us 5-0 off the top of my head about 15, 16 months before we won the FA Cup. Well, I remember walking out to both of those grounds and the juxtaposition of the two fields, and it literally happened in a year and a half. So take some context for today.
Yeah, I was about to say.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. And then we went from that season onto another season we couldn't have even dreamed of. We won the league by a street. We battered Bayern Munich and had the cup won by the semi-final and lost against Man United in the final. What I'm saying is, And also the gaffer's not here. Everybody else, everybody from the playing staff are involved in it, except the people who are deceased. So therefore, it's a legacy. Listen to me now, I know this as a toffee. This is a really high bar we're looking to go for here, because it's that team and this story and what it means to us. However, Rob Sloman's is a really excellent filmmaker, and Mullen's kind of a musical genius, and that's who's doing the things. So I'm kind of confident. You've seen little clips yourself, there'll be other stuff to come, and Grand Old Team will have stuff along the road as we go towards it. But
it's so exciting, David. You know, someone who wasn't around, I said to Baz from Toffee TV on Twitter the other day, you know, someone who wasn't around who just gets them anecdotes of stories, the stories that my old man tells me and whatever. You know, it's going to be, I can't wait to see it, mate. I can't wait to see it. All right, okay, in the second part of the show, we'll come back with your questions. Stay tuned for the second half of the Grand Old Team Show. Hello, welcome back to the second part of the Grand Old Team Show. I'm Adam Partington, this is Dave Feely. We're at the Excelsior, which is open 24 hours. It's not open 24 hours.
No, it's open every day.
It's open every day.
And it's on Dale Street, though.
Basically,
by the courts, under the flyover. That's where it is. And it's open every day. And Evertonians and everybody else are welcome all the time. Let's do the question.
Yeah, see, this guy, you told me off because I was saying Excelsior's the best place for Evertonians on match day. And then Dave said, but it is open other days, which it is. And then I got myself into a right pickle. Anyway, moving on. Let's take some questions from Twitter. Kate Reynolds says, do you think Gylfi Sigurdsson should stay on pens? If not, who should take over? This is obviously in reference to, his ratio, his conversion ratio hasn't been brilliant from the spot. What do you reckon?
It's a really odd statistic because before this, he missed one for Everton, or England, I think, for Iceland had it in the World Cup. He'd never missed one before in professional football, and yet he's missed 3, I think, there's last 3 for us. So actually, my opinion on it is informed by his own comments. He commented publicly on it last week, which I thought was odd for a penalty taker because it's all psychological. But even he himself said, this is getting to be a thing. Well, you'd think, I don't know, I'm not, again, we're just speculating, but Lucas Digne would appear to be able to step into that role and just nail it, even on a temporary basis, while the other fella decided whether or not, thereby the competency remains excellent kind of thing when you're going into it. The goalkeeper can always have a blinder when it happens, but I think just for the run-in now, that might be an idea.
Well, it's strange, isn't it? Because I always think like with penalties, you're either very good at them or you're not.
No, but the thing is, no one likes to relinquish responsibility in a football team, ever. Doesn't matter whether you're playing well. It's not informing your thinking. It's like if you're trying to drop the captain.
Yeah.
You have to factor in the armband. Well, no, you shouldn't. You should put the armband on the table, see who's the best, and then make the captain out of the team. Well, penalty taking is another. You saw it with Leighton Baines and Kevin Morales. No finer example than and Romelu Lukaku as well. Everton Football Club, microcosm of the problem there. Anyway.
It's an interesting one though, Kate. Owen Parks says, hi lads, what do you think what do you think Marco has to do to fully convince the fans he's the right man for the job? Also, a shout out for Dave, he's ace. No reference to me at all there, not that I'm jealous.
You could have just left it out though and just told me privately, but anyway.
Marco, what's he got to do to get... I think now you'd probably say the fans, half the fans are on side and kind of embracing him for next season and the on half aren't.
We're in transition, so no one's going to be convinced of anything at any point while you're in transition because you are in transition. So you're not neither one thing nor the other. You're betwixt and between, as it were. So basically, the management have to factor that in. This is not an overwhelming majority in either direction because we're in a stage. What you've got to show it in those times, like growing a garden, you've got to. That produces certain signs at certain points. Well, you encourage it from that point. Well, I'll revert to my previous points here in the other video about the away. If he ends up with a few away wins with the games you've got to come, that's one point. But the performances at the big clubs would be something where I started in the summer when he came back for the pre-season and say, right, that's a standard go from there. Well, if he then exhibits another similar facet next season, like for example winning at 1 or maybe 2 of the top 6 teams away from home, well, that's next season's. That's how Marco, as a 40, 41 next season, year-old manager convinces our fans that he's the man for the job.
Okay, Ian says, do you think behind the scenes Silver and Brands are happy with the way things are building, i.e. foundations moving forward? He does ask also who's been the player of the season, and he suggests Digne. First question though, I think Silver and Brands probably, well, Brands won't have drawn a conclusion yet. He would have probably been a little bit concerned by the way that the form was going, but I think, like you, he will look at things holistically, the bigger picture. This is a project. We're going to give it a bit of time. You agree?
Yeah, I agree, but he'll also... They knew at the start of this season that all of our holes weren't filled, because that's why they made so many signings in so short a time, near to the end of the window, which is kind of loads of no-nos, flashes and alarms going off, yet they did it anyway. And with that, Dominic Calvert-Lewin being case in point, Cenk Tosun, not a massive signing for Everton, but a kind of a few bob spent, centre-forward from the previous management. By and large, this season, in a time when the manager could have actually lost his job during that same season, they've gone with Calvert-Lewin. That's a statement. I said it to you outside there in about October or November. I heard the manager one day in a press conference. Tommy Davis and Calvert-Lewin were not even in the team, and he mentioned them by name specifically when he was under pressure. That tells me that he's telling the press subliminally that they're going to be around, and that's who we're looking to utilise. So then, by definition, Calvert-Lewin absolutely has come on this season. So if you could add something to it, that in the summer, well, now we've got two options, whereas last year we had none. That's what Marcel Brands will be pleased about. Then the onus comes on him to add which options we fill, and with who, with characters and players, and whether he can handle this and that and the other thing. The mental stress these days, let's have it right, it's a factor. So that's his job. But if you're asking me the first question, that's what I'm saying, that's the positive.
Player of the season so far, Digne for me, in terms of performances.
Yeah.
Can't really see past that. Tom Kane says, if we don't sign Kurt Zouma at the end of the season, who would you both go for? I'm not one of these lads who takes, I'll be honest, I don't take a copious, I don't take a lot of attention in terms of like the European leagues and stuff. Suggesting another centre-off.
I'm loath to speculate about it, because you can see, I'll tell you now, you could have walked into a bookmaker's anywhere in Liverpool 3 days before we signed Lucas Digne and Yerry Mina from Barcelona, and said, will Everton sign 2 players from Barcelona in the next 3 days? And he said, name your place.
Yeah.
So no one was saying it on Twitter, and there was no in the nose or anything like that. So it tells you that Marcel himself has got an agenda. So for us to sit here speculating, it's like playing darts with that light up and just closing our eyes and throwing it. We might hit it, we might not.
With that said though, Zouma, this kind of moves into Stephen Brooks' question as well about Zouma. I'm a big fan of Kurt Zouma. I think he's got all the attributes to be a very, very good centre-half. I think this has been probably said about him like for his entire career so far. But for me, he's a very, very good centre-half.
He's a baby. I've said this to you about Michael Keane. No centre-half is at the top of the game at 25. The ones that are really the same ones who were there at 27, 28, when you're really at the peak of your career. There will be examples in Wales football, but not many, and certainly not in this league where they do it. John Terry you might get away with, but there's not loads. You're going back to Adams and stuff. So basically they're foundations of trophy winning sides.
Yeah.
So once you get one, you keep it. So I'm saying Kurt Zouma and Michael Keane both are still young. The circumstances what we've had in the last 18 months to 2 years at this club at times have just been a blizzard, to be honest. In every way it's been chaotic. So for to still see sparks of performance in them there at 24, well, I would definitely spend the money on them.
So just to kind of finish Stephen's
obviously
question
with the
there.
Chelsea,
with the situation at Chelsea, but he also says, this is a really good point actually, would you now, if you're Silver, would you commit to Mina, Michael Keane as your centre-halves now for the rest of the season? Mina picked up an injury, by the way, for Colombia actually. Yeah. But anyway, I can see the logic in that though, if the club doesn't think that they can sign Kurt Zouma now, that you would try and bed Mina and Michael Keane in.
The thing is, a third centre half who can play games and be rotated, because now it's not about your favourite 11. This is not the gaffer's 11. It's about who's right on the day. So all of those players are out favour with the fact that they might be rotated in or out with no real burden on the form or the performance. Or in certain cases, no real burden. So what I'm saying is, we need that all over the park. We need extra players. We haven't got a full team of players. We need extra players. So someone like that, I'd take him all day.
Okay, Wayne Ellis says, I think we need 3 more first team players next season, 1 right back, 1 centre midfielder and 1 centre forward. What are your thoughts on that? Well, you've already said, we probably do need another centre forward.
We definitely need a centre forward. We need all of those things you just said there, but that's not just what we need. So then, are we staying with the same bench? Is Garner Gay going to go, for example? So there's all kinds. We're going to have to sit down and say who's staying on the wage bill now, who's staying, and who can't we get rid of. So we have to factor in that. There's a load of stuff.
There's also actually the question about Jordan Pickford there as well, in the sense that this season, one of the things that people have said is he's getting too comfortable. I'm not saying I agree with that. I don't think he is. I think as a professional footballer, as a competitor as he is, but with that said, do we need somebody to come in and kind of push him a little bit? Because we've got that young Portuguese lad, like Stecklenburg. Stecklenburg's obviously
the only person
the end of his career now.
No one's taking the gloves from a 24-year-old England.
No, of course not.
So you'd be low to go behind him. What you might be able to do is get an experienced keeper to come in and kind of mentor him with a view to the other kid being the number 2 if he was to get injured for an extended period. I mean, he could do it for 80 days, but if it was for the long term, this kid, that's what he's there. He's the next cab off the rank, but he's patently not ready yet. But the goalkeeper's 24, so he's got 10 years, maybe 12 years. So anyone coming behind him's thinking, I'm not getting these gloves here unless something happens to him.
Yeah, it's a really good point.
So that's going to be a factor. So then you're likely then to go with a mentor figure, which is not. Never had Pat Jennings for just around the club. I think he was only on the thing for 1 game, on the register for 1 game. But he speaks magnificence of him, saying he was fantastic. Just to have him there, to not really do nothing. So maybe that, but I can't see anyone coming to sit behind this 24-year-old England goal.
Alan Kerwin asked a really good question about Tom Davies. With regards to how could he go from captain, man of the match in 3 games to being left out of the side. Would you make that? I cut Tom Davies quite a bit of slack as an Everton. I'll hold my hands up. I don't particularly like getting on his back.
I never get on individuals.
But that's a good point, though.
It is, but it's kind of Marco Silva. I'll tell you what I take from it. This is just a personal opinion before YouTube starts going crazy again. This is my opinion.
Don't go crazy.
That's what he's telling me. I just said to you about Calvert-Lewin and Davis. He mentioned them in a press conference when they weren't playing. Well, to bring Davis in, amongst the criticism, pardon me, he was getting at the time, and then to make him captain is a statement. Tommy to have a blinding game in that with dropping him again straight away is a statement. They're not the same statements. It's 3 different statements. That's the point. He patently values him. That's my answer to your question. He patently values him, and he's basically put it in the kid's head. You're a young un, and you're going to be in, and you're going to be out, and this is how it's going to be. But to give him the armband, that was the manager, as much as he possibly could, walking onto the pitch with Tommy Davis and putting his arm around him, saying, I believe in him.
I think it's really good management as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Steve Potts, this is a final good question to conclude.
West Ham, same fella?
I don't think it's the same fella. Could be. We'll tweet him and ask him. But anyway, Steve Potts, who may or may not have played for West Ham,
back in the day.
He says, where do you think we will finish, and which games can we win before the end of the season? Now, we'll pick up on that second point, because this is something that you said to me outside of the ground, and you've actually changed my mind on this now, Dave, in terms of, prioritising what can we really take from the season. It's how we perform against those bigger sides. Yeah. So for me, I would want us to continue to really push those sides when they come to us from the likes of Arsenal, the likes of Manchester United. That's an objective. But then also on the flip side, it goes without saying really, but I want us to try and put some of those teams that we maybe perceive to be a little bit less well equipped than us to the sword a little bit easier.
Not just that, it's again, if you're looking for signs, if this was management sitting here having this, they say, well, you want both in a perfect world, but if you can't have both, you want either or. You don't want a mixture of both, because 7, it'll be, what will it be, 7, it depends how many we get, but 6, 7 away wins this season from the wreckage what it's been will in itself be something to pin on the door. The flip side of that is, so will the home performances and increased tempo against the home teams. That too is something you could pin on the door for next season to build around. If you could get a marriage of the two of them, well, that's nirvana. But I'm saying to you, either or would work in the interim. So maybe what injuries we've got and that, I can't see him deviating from a statement he made in August that he was going to take it to all the big clubs with 2 home games left against Manchester United and Arsenal. I think that he will adopt those, win, lose or draw in either game, and I still think he'll take it through, because then he can stand and put his arms up and say, I didn't get it together, but he had a go.
Yeah.
And it's more than anyone else has been able to do in 2 decades. So that gives, from my personal perspective, it gives him kudos.
And as you say, and then we break down the objectives then and go, you tick this box, you tick.
Yeah, well,
you didn't get to that one, but you can see.
That's micromanagement.
Exactly.
So what you do then, but he was speaking in August with a blanket statement. He'd never done it before. So to have that as a mission statement, and it's like coming out of the ring in a boxing ring, beaten up, but haven't had a bleeding good go. So there's no disgrace in that. He identified the problem and tried to solve it with a modicum of success, not magnificent, but with a better than anybody else in the previous 2 decades. So then, take on that experience and get better for next time.
Just to finish off on Steve's question there, where do you think we'll finish then? Prediction?
I don't know.
10th?
No.
Think we'll finish higher than 10th?
Maybe. Yeah, I think maybe 9th or 8th even. I think, to be honest, I do this all the time. So what you find is everyone forgets every year that in the last 5 weeks of the season, you see the most craziest results you've ever seen, ever. And every year, everyone forgets it. Every year. And every year it happens. So I'm saying, you're predicting your results, what's going to come in, like everyone's going to keep doing that. Well, I don't know. I'm going to venture that I don't think that's the case. It's not really important to us where we finish this year, position-wise. You won't even remember it in 3 years' time.
Yeah.
It's not important. We've got other issues to focus on, and that's not one of them.
We certainly have. Look, as always, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I'm still in podcast mode. Thank you for listening. You've also been watching. We're at the Excelsior down on Dale Street, and this is open all the time. Every day
yeah.
for Evertonians, but also it's a great place to come on
it's right by the
day.
courts. There it is. Jesus, at the end of Dale Street there, it's open 7 days a week. It does food, it's boss. Do that, that's what I'm saying. Peace out, soppies.
And just finally, Fan Ales, remember to get over to fanales.co.uk and buy your Everton beers if you've got a birthday coming up. Oh, well, I'm not even arsed. That's, I've got a baby to feed. Anyway, as always, thanks for watching the Grand Old Team Show. I'm Adam Bartington. This is Dave Feely. We'll see you again next time on the show.
Peace. Stop it with that. I've got a baby.